Morning Glory, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. This is the week President Trump decided, apparently, to let Trump be Trump. Rex Tillerson is out at state. CIA Director Mike Pompeo is in. Larry Kudlow takes over for Gary Cohn as chief economics advisor. And more changes throughout the government designed to make the president confident that his agenda is being implemented. It's an old-fashioned Article II presidency. I'm the boss here, and it may not work, but it's my way. It didn't work in Pennsylvania this week, where Tuesday night saw Republicans lose a deep, deep red congressional district to a Democrat, a young, handsome Marine-turned-prosecutor and gun rights Democrat, but a Democrat. The district went for Trump by 20 points, for Romney by 17 points. No ands, ifs, buts, or explanations. The GOP got knocked down in the second round of the 15-rounder of 2018. I'll focus on the change at state in the second part of this show, but first, can the GOP come back? I'm joined by the always insightful, often funny John Podhoretz. He is my friend of long standing and the rising star of radio, TV, print, and my guest host on radio when I'm off the air on vacation. Also with us is Joe Concha of The Hill. Gentlemen, welcome. If Donald Trump had given a different speech or no speech at all in Moon County last week, John Podhoretz, would the Republicans have won? Did Trump lose the election? Trump lost.
The only question now is whether by appearing there, he pulled them back from a 25% shift to a 20% shift. There's a little evidence to suggest that he might have helped the Republican a little bit. But again, that would just mean that if he hadn't gone, that the Democrat would have won by 2 or 3 points instead of winning by this 700 or 800 votes thing. So that just speaks to the fact that he has a tiny bit of pull. But the district shifts 20 points in the other direction from his election. It's about him.
Joe Concha, if Donald Trump hadn't been president, if Hillary Clinton were president, and Tim Murphy had his trouble and retired, would that district have stayed red?
I don't think it would have. I think that Conor Lamb ran as a Republican. Let's think about this. He had an ad showing him shooting at AR-15, right? He's pro-life. He wants to drill for natural gas. He wants to raise the minimum wage only to $10. He ran to the center as opposed to where the Democratic Party is going. And Rick Sankoff, quite frankly, was the worst special election candidate we've ever seen, well, ever, since December. Roy Moore
that's right.
There, right?
2018, that's the worst in 2018 by a long shot.
So the irony is that Donald Trump in 2016 bought in voters that never voted before. And now I think the Democratic Party is benefiting from the same wave, where people who never voted before are because of personal animus towards the president, not even so much because of the
Look,
process.
I'm a Republican. I want to win in the fall. I think we're going to get killed. I think we're going to get myrtleized.
Listen, that district is why Trump won. Getting voters in a district like that to go for him in overwhelming numbers. Remember, 3 percentage points more than Romney in 2012. That's the margin of victory in those 3 states, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and that's where he won. And if the district shifts 20 points in the other direction, that is what we call a harbinger of doom. And I don't think you can call Conor Lamb a Republican. What he did is he ran as a moderate Democrat. This is exactly what happened in 2006 when Rahm Emanuel got all of these pro-gun military people to run in these seats and won 31
Give me
seats.
some hope. Give me some hope, John.
Well, just to address John real quick, I had 3 questions that came out of this. A, is Nancy Pelosi in trouble? Because Conor Lamb specifically called out Nancy Pelosi and said, I'm not associated with her. Does the Democratic Party need to move to the center? That's obvious. But the third, and I think the most apparent is loyalty to Trump transferable? And I think the answer is no. That if you have a less than desirable candidate, people will not follow because Trump says they should.
Okay, so both of you,
is there hope?
You're consulting to a Republican generic incumbent anywhere. What do you tell them about Trump, John Podhoretz?
Retire. I don't know. Honestly, I'm not saying retire. I'm saying, by the way, we're going to see some more retirements, I believe, as a result of this election. I think what you do is you try to tailor your message to the district as much as possible. Trump is a trap because if you criticize him mildly, the people who drag themselves over broken glass to vote for him are going to be mad at you. They're going to attack you. Trump might attack you. Trump might single you out if you give him a Zetz from a Republican seat or So you're just going to have to ride it however it goes. And if there's a Democratic wave, you ride it in some way that causes you to survive and not get wiped out.
I'll answer your question. Yes, you're going to get killed in the fall, because you look at President Obama in 2010. RCP average, he was at 45% approval. President Trump is at 41% in the RCP. So if Obama took a beating in 2010 from the Tea Party, what do you think is going to happen when Trump is 4 points lower?
But I think we're going to pick up seats in the Senate. I just think we have been blessed. We, being conservative Republicans, have been blessed by the map that is the best map of my adult lifetime. Heidi Heitkamp is in trouble. She's on my radio show. How desperate is she? She's coming on conservative radio to try and appeal. We're going to win India. We're going to win Florida, I think. I think we're going to do fine. But what does that mean? That means impeachment. I just want to put a line under this. The president will be impeached. Am I right?
The president will be impeached if the Democratic pickup is sufficiently large. That is to say, it can't be that they win by 1 or 2. But if they win by 15 or 20, if they end up with a 20-seat majority or a 30-seat majority, he will be impeached almost without question.
Do Democrats want to do that, though, considering what happened with the Republicans back in the late 90s, and then President Clinton leaves with a 68% approval rating? That could boomerang on you, too. Maybe they'll just say, Trump is so weak, let's just beat him at the ballot box.
Let's stick with the West Wing. Chaos or actually a move towards coherence, that the president's getting the people he wants with Larry Kudlow, and General McMaster is getting promoted, not fired. He's going to end up running in Korea, which will be a good thing. But do you see chaos there, or do you see coherence?
I see a story that's being missed, which is the upgrades as a result of the chaos. Do you want Bannon, Priebus, a compromised Flynn, Spicer, and Tillerson as your starting 5? Or do you want John Kelly, McMaster, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and Pompeo at state? I'd say the upgrades are the story here and not so much the chaos.
John Podhoretz, I'm very excited about Mike Pompeo to the state. I know you are as well, but what about the rest of the story?
Well, and Pompeo's one guy. The question is, will he be allowed to staff the State Department, which is largely unstaffed at the senior levels? We are heading into a potential either foreign policy crisis with North Korea or some kind of a gigantic negotiation, which is a different form, in my view, of foreign policy crisis. But if we don't have sufficient numbers of people involved in the foreign policy apparatus to do what needs to be done in that process, to either fulfill it, block it, do what if it all falls apart, to be in a position to impose sanctions or to run covert ops and all of that, that's very unnerving to me.
We have many of the same friends. My friends will go to work for Mike Pompeo. They put the country ahead of their distaste for Donald Trump. Will yours?
They will if the White House allows it. The White House won't allow it.
Joe, will the White House release the blacklist? I mean, they've got to. They've got to staff the State Department.
Yeah, it's a little bit understaffed right now. I don't have many friends, by the way, so I can't tell you exactly what's going to go on there. I think that Pompeo is a guy that brings loyalty with him, and I think only things will improve at the State Department. But you got to have more than a couple people running your entire apparatus. But it is funny, though. You look at Trump, and you look at the economy, the way things are going now. You see the ISIS caliphate is destroyed by 98% since he took office. It's almost gone. And North Korea, if they get progress there, any other president, everything is going smoothly. But with this one, because of, again, the personality and people just not liking him, forget the results, that's going to be the problem.
Little history. Right before the '62 elections, John Kennedy was going to get crushed. Something called the Cuban Missile Crisis came along. He was not. So it's a little bit early to call anything. But if it were held today, I think the Senate is held and the Congress is destroyed. But what happens to Trump after he's rebuked? George W. Bush doubled down with the surge. Let's just anticipate, John Podhoretz. What happens to Donald Trump if he's rebuked?
Well, he's whatever comes in his head. I mean, that's the thing about the Trump policies is that we know, for example, he always wanted to impose tariffs, and so he's imposed the tariffs, so maybe he'll impose more tariffs or something like that. He's now going to be in the position, and already wants to be in the position, of Obama, which is to say you can't get stuff done through Congress, even though he has a Republican Congress. So he's looking to things like coming up with some cockamamie idea that we need steel for national security reasons so we can impose a tariff unilaterally. So he'll be looking. Republicans will now be in the position of having to defend Trump on the grounds that he is going extra constitutional with executive orders, and Democrats will be like, this is terrible, he's using executive orders and not going through Congress. We're going to have one of those weird total flips in which the argument made in 2015 will be the argument made by Democrats in 2018.
Huge wild theory, Concha. He wouldn't mind being impeached. It's so much fun. What do you think?
Impeach doesn't mean leaving office, remember, right? Because that's what happened with President Clinton.
It just means a fight.
That makes him a martyr, and that would energize his supporters. And again, fighting is about styles. So it all depends on who the Democrats put up. Who is the leader of that party right now? I have no idea. If they go hard to the left, he could win again. If they go to the center with somebody that appeals more to the Rust Belt, like a Joe Biden, if Joe Biden